We are back with game 2. Daniel will be switching to Tiki or Ike. We'll see whether Jared decides to stick with Ike. Oh, and he goes out to Sirius. Oh man, this is brutal for Jared. I've gone on record personally saying many times that I think Ike's greatest niche in this format is as an anti-aggro deck. There's just Ike counters aggro in so many ways. All of his skills are like on-hit skills, and on-hit skills are most easily procced against aggro decks, since aggro decks just splurge their entire hand. They play a bunch of one-cost beaters, and they never... Oh my... Wow. That is unfortunate for Jared. That is just things going from bad to worse for Jared. If Ike wasn't already bad enough of a matchup for an aggro deck like Sirius, now Daniel's a 100 base, so... Wow. Talk about a, like, just complete opposite luck. Jared getting a Berserk Ike at the most untimely moment. Meanwhile, Daniel, complete opposite, gets Berserk Ike. Could not be more perfect for Daniel. Jared intelligently, though, sees the Berserk Ike and just says, I'm not even going to bother deploying anything. I'm just going to wait for you to clash change out of this guy. I know you can't stay on him forever, because if you do, you're going to eventually kill yourself. Let's see what Daniel decides to do, though. Daniel might decide he wants to stay on Berserk Ike for another turn, and then clash changing to the 4-3 Ike, or he might just opt to clash change out of it this turn. I personally like the idea of clash changing out of it this turn, because Jared doesn't have any weenies deployed, so if he wants to promote on turn 3, Daniel's just going to get hit once anyways, so losing the 40 attack from clash changing isn't going to make that big of a deal. Basically, it's the same end result. You don't lose an orb from Berserk Ike, you lose an orb instead from Jared attacking you with his MC. But the trade-off is that you get to increase your stack size. So, if he has a 3-2 Ike in his hand, I feel like it would be ideal for Daniel to use it there. He might not have a 3-2 Ike in his hand, though. That's always a possibility. So, let's see what Daniel decides to do. Yeah, I guess while we weigh it up, and he plays Alencia 1. That's interesting. Alencia 1 is going to be destroyed by the effect of Berserk Ike at the end of his turn. It looks like Daniel just wants to growth Berserk Ike as much as possible. Interesting that Daniel is deciding to hit face this matchup. In general, when I play Ike, I just don't go for face. I straight up never go for face until I'm at 7-5, because you can just destroy all of your opponent's orbs in one turn with 7-5 Ike. And sure, your opponent can play around that. They're just going to decide to like take all of your 7-5 hits and then dodge. But at the same time, if you're like hitting face throughout the entire match, and then you like give your opponent 2 orbs at once, I'd rather like give them all 5 orbs at once, like at the end of the game, as opposed to giving them 3 of their orbs at the beginning of the game, and then their last 2 orbs at the end of the game. Give them the least amount of opportunity possible to utilize those cards. And Daniel, he stays on Berserk Ike, and he will not take any damage from Sirius. 100 attack, just impossible to crack. We'll see if Daniel continues to stay on Berserk Ike. He does. That's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. At the same time, clash changing out of Berserk Ike at this point is kind of scary, but like, in the same vein, though, I think you need to clash change out of Berserk Ike at some point. And you might as well do it early on. Oh, that was some lag. You might as well just do it early on, because now, like, look at how many hands... Look at how many cards Jared has in his hands. So, as soon as Daniel decides to clash change out of Berserk Ike, he's just going to get dogpiled. And I feel like it'd be better to just let that happen sooner than later. I don't know, though. Perhaps Daniel has like a Micaiah in his hand. His aim is just to like never even give Jared a chance to hit him. Like, his like main goal here is gonna just be to try and stay on Berserk Ike until he's literally at 0 orbs, and by then hopefully he'll have like a stack of 9 or something. That is actually going to hit, though. if Daniel intends to stay on Berserk Ike, I feel like it's probably in his best interest to dodge this, gives him some extra turns to stay on Berserk Ike, which he does. So yeah, let's see what Daniel decides to do here. Yeah, I don't know how I feel. I think maybe Daniel is just trying to like rush Jared down by just like hitting him in the face a bunch. But even then, I feel like if you're trying to like quickly accelerate growing into Ike as like fast as possible, even that's not necessary, because as I said, you can just take all 5 of your opponent's orbs in one turn with 7/5 Ike. So I don't know. He might just want to mill. That's fair. Get Ike in his retreat to growth, in which case I guess that's fair. Yeah, we'll see how this goes for Daniel. I can't say I would have taken this approach to this matchup, but if it works, it works. Who am I to say anything? And it could very well work, but I don't know. We'll see. Daniel seems to be pondering what he's going to do. I feel like if his goal is just to growth as quickly as possible, then he probably wants a Micaiah. I'm pretty sure he has 2 Ike in his retreat. I know he has at least 1 because he dodged with 1 earlier. Yeah, he has 2 in his retreat because he selfed and then he used it to dodge. So he definitely does have 2 Ike in his retreat. Growthing with Micaiah, I would put him up to a 6 stack. And he'd like need to get another Micaiah out on turn 5. Get him up to an 8 stack, and then he clash changes into 7/5 Ike while he's at 0 orbs. He's base 90, and at base 90, even Beowulf, who's actually, yeah, Beowulf would still be able to touch him. So we'll see if this works out for Daniel. I think it could end up working out, but personally, I would have rather just he had to AFK for a sec. Okay. Why is lag here? Why is my computer being weird? Alright, in that case, I was about to be like, I'm going to use the bathroom, but he just got back. So, yeah, let's see what he does here. I was just going to talk about how I might have approached this matchup if I was playing it instead. I feel like I just, as I said, I wouldn't have gone for face at all. I don't know though. He might not have Micaiah. That is kind of like a big deal in this matchup. If you don't get Micaiah, you might be in a bit of trouble, because one thing you can do in this matchup is just like you just rush out the 7/5 Ike as quickly as possible, and then they can't do anything. Part of how you do that though is just by clash changing Ike a bunch, like manually from your hand, and obviously Daniel wasn't able to do that this game because he got Berserk Ike turn 1 and he just decided to stay on it for the remainder of the game. He does choose to clash change into Aether Ike here. He's presumably going to use Aether to give himself a +10 boost to attack, which will mean that only Sirius is going to be able to touch him. All of the other 1-cost units likely will not be able to hit him. I say likely because it still is perfectly feasible that Ike could self-support. God knows Ike runs a ton of copies of himself in his deck, but all of these 1-beaters are going to be hitting for 50. He does Aether. He did Aether, right? Did he flip? Yeah, he did. He flipped the bond face down. So he Aethered. He's 80 now. Eyes is going to bring Ike down to 70. But it doesn't even matter though, because Jared is just going to play 2 units who can hit through it. Shannon will likely hit through. He's a 60 into 70, but the majority of Jared's support base in this deck is indeed attack emblem. Oh, that is unfortunate for Jared. Let's see if Jared has a crit for... He does not have a crit for Shannon. That Liana is definitely going to hit, though. No mistake about that. Daniel seems to be debating whether he wants to take or not. He decides to take. I'll check Daniel's deck list. I'll be right back. Alright, I just checked Daniel's deck list. He does indeed have 2 Berserk Ike. Sorry about that. Just wanted to make sure that I resumed recording. Get a bit paranoid.
But it looks like he's going to use Marcia here, ensure that he doesn't get the Berserk. And he's just going straight for the face. Going to use Aether to clear the board. I hope Daniel has lots of evades, though. I was going to say earlier, it's a bit risky for him to go down to 0 orb, since he might get the Berserk Ike on his turn, and then he literally just loses it instantly. But yeah, Marcia comes in clutch there. He had like a 1 in 23% chance of losing if Berserk Ike was on top of a deck for Marcia support, but it wasn't, so he's fine. That being said, I don't know how I feel about Daniel's strategy here. It could end up paying off. For all we know, Jared just doesn't have any Sirius in his hand right now, and he's about to lose the game. But I think that Daniel's in a bit of trouble after he ends his turn here. Yeah, he's definitely going to Aether. I feel like he's already all in. He'd be a fool to turn back, try a different strategy at this point. Now Daniel's going to be in a lot of trouble if Jared has a Beowulf in his hand, which I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because Jared has a very large hand right now. And Jared also is going to get a rare 6-bond Beowulf. It's not often that you see this in Sirius. Almost all the time it's a 5-bond Beowulf. But yeah, he gets a 6-bond Beowulf, so he's going to be hitting Daniel in the face, it seems, 6 times. So hopefully 6 of those 8 cards Daniel has in his hand are dodges. If so, I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel could just end the game on the following turn, because it's Sirius. He has 5 cards in his hand. He probably doesn't have very many dodges, but Daniel really needs a lot of evades to survive this. Oh, and there goes with 7-5. That's generally a sign, once the Ike player starts dodging with the 7-5s, that's generally a sign that they don't have very many more dodges left. And yeah, that is good game. Yeah, I don't know if I would have played it like that. And yeah, wow, Jared had 3 serious dodges. I feel like I don't know if he had that 3-2 that he used to dodge with in his opening hand, but I feel like I would have just clash changed out of Berserk Ike into that. I think that would have been better, and then use those Alencias to growth. And Jared's playing Sirius, so the only way he can easily clear those is with Liana. She's not coming out until turn 4. He can potentially growth a bunch. Might have accelerated his how quickly he gets 7-5 out. Either way, Jared wins game 2. Jared no longer needs to worry about winning a game of Sirius. That is a very big blessing for him. And we are going to begin game 3. Daniel will be going first, presumably, since he lost. Hope to see you guys then.